Welcome to our first episode of Finding Balance. I have my first ever guest here today, Marissa, psychic medium, holistic healer. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello. Well, first off, thank you so much. I'm honored that you even thought of me. So my name's Marissa. As you know, I'm a psychic medium. I'm clairvoyant. I'm claircognizant, and I'm clairsentient. So I see, I feel, and I just know things from spirit. Yeah, my path has been a little up and down. I never really thought that I would end up here. I actually went to school to be a teacher and graduated and did all that. I just never took my certification exams, but I could be a teacher tomorrow if I wanted to. But yeah, my path just led me into this. So here we are.
I love it. Okay, so let's start at and I'm gonna link all your info below because everyone needs to book a reading.
Thank you.
Amazing reader. Let's start at the beginning. When did you first come to the realization that I can see and hear things? If I'm correct, right? You see and hear.
Yeah, I feel it really depends on the situation. It's not always all of those things at once. Sometimes it's seeing, sometimes it's just a feeling. That is hard to answer because I feel like now that I'm practicing, I've realized that I've always been a psychic. So when I was younger, I do feel like I was seeing things and feeling things, like I could feel the spirit of my grandparents, but never really understood it. And I was very intuitive. Like I remember, I don't think anyone in my family remembers this, but both of my aunts got pregnant around the same time, and I was pretty young. And I remember the phone was ringing, and it was, the landline at the time, so you could see the caller ID. And I knew both of them were calling. This was separate times. But I was the one to pick up the phone, and both of them, it was like a similar phone call. Both of them were like, hey, like something to tell you. And I was like, you're pregnant. And they were like, what? How'd you know? And I don't think anyone in my family remembers that, but I remember it to this day. So those little moments were happening that I didn't realize, I didn't realize what it was.
Yes.
But then in my practice, looking back on my life, I'm like, oh shit, I really did always have this ability.
Yeah, so it was so innate to you that you didn't even
because when you're growing up, you don't know. I mean, let me retract myself. So my mom has always been into psychic stuff, but when I was that young, she wasn't really talking about it with me. But as I grew older, she would talk more about it with me. So I did learn what a psychic was, and I was very into it, and I always would be like, ooh, like I want to do that, but never knew that I was that. But when I was really young, I didn't know what a psychic was, so those feelings just felt normal to me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So do you ever feel like you had, a lot of people have this like spiritual awakening, they have this moment that happens to them. You being someone that kind of always was in tune with spirit your whole life, but not even knowing, do you feel like you had a moment like that? Or was it more so just when you started evolving it, it just snowballed?
I think for me, the moment was as I got older. I always kind of thank my mom for this because, as I said, my mom was always really into it, and my grandma was always really into it, and they always said that they were psychics, but no one ever practiced. They just were always like, "Hi, like we're psychic. We're a very intuitive family." So my mom would tell me about how my grandma would take her and her siblings to Lilydale when they were younger. So when I got older, I told my mom, like, listen, I want you to take me to Lilydale. And I feel like that for me was kind of the start, because then hearing someone talk to me about things, I'm like, oh my God, like I feel like I could do this. And then I got more and more readings for myself. I got more and more into it. And then eventually I was meeting psychics that kept telling me I was psychic. So I feel like that was the moment for me. And then I ended up getting certified, which you don't have to be certified to be a psychic, but that gave me the confidence. I feel like the first class I realized like, oh yeah, I'm definitely a psychic.
Yeah. So what? That's really interesting. What does a psychic certification look like? Like, what is the qualifications to graduate with?
Yeah.
I'm sure how long did it take?
Oh shoot, I forget. I think it was like 6 weeks or something like that. Yeah, so I was getting readings from her, and she suggested it because she was saying I was really intuitive and probably a psychic and things like that. And I kept brushing it off, but then finally, I don't know, it was just like I was feeling like I didn't really have a purpose. So I was like, you know what, why not? Like, let's just try it. What's the worst that could happen? But anyway, sorry, that wasn't answering your question.
No, you're
Just wanted to make that point really quick. Yeah, so to be certified, it was 6 weeks, and each day was something different. She would talk to us about like symbols, and like she would give us different tools basically, and how to set up a reading. But then at the end, we would always break off into groups, and we would do little exercises. It would start small, like we would start with cards, and then we would start with, and then we would focus on talking about color with them and their chakras. Those little exercises really helped me. And then towards the end, she had us actually practicing with other people. So we had a Facebook group, and people would post on there if they wanted like a little reading, and she would have us pick, I forget the number, maybe it was like 5 people, for that week, and then focusing on something. And then by the end of it, we were actually doing phone calls with people. So you had to do a certain amount of readings to get certified. And as long as you did them, she certified you. And if you're there, it's like you obviously have a feeling that you have the gift. So most people did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Because I know a lot of people, they wouldn't think, I feel like people have this idea about psychics in their heads that it's like they just wake up and they have all the answers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it's like there is things you can do to train yourself to heighten those abilities.
Yes.
As opposed to it's just being like this thing that, you have it or you don't. And to an extent, yes, but at the same time, it's like it can evolve.
Yeah, and I think with doing the class, it also gives you confidence, because everyone there felt like they were a psychic, but they didn't really know for sure, so some people just need that little bit of confidence from taking a class, which that's what it was for me, just giving me that confidence boost and getting that practice with a lot of people so that I knew for sure I could do this.
Yeah, I love that. So what would you say the difference, because you're a psychic medium.
Yes.
Some people claim to be intuitive, some people claim to be psychics, some people are all of the above. So what are the differences between those?
Yeah, so a psychic does receive information from your past, present, and future. They just don't connect with loved ones who have passed away in your life.
Okay.
A medium, think medium middle. So we're the middleman. So we're connecting with your past loved ones and receiving messages for you. So it's really not us talking.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And how do you know that it's someone coming through? Like, what does that feel like for you? What happens when, say, a loved one is coming through?
Yeah, it is definitely different for everyone. It's funny that you asked this, because actually yesterday in the group reading that I did, I had a really weird experience that has never happened to me before. I started coughing nonstop. Coughing, I couldn't figure it out. I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like, I was like choking, couldn't breathe. And then eventually I'm like, did your grandma cough like this a lot? And she was like, yeah, that's my grandma. And then as soon as she said that, I was like, okay, can you please stop? And it literally stopped. So it's like, that was the first time that's ever happened to me. So it's really different. Sometimes I'm not seeing them, but it's just information is like being put in my head.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, okay, I have a headache right now. Something happened with their head. So sometimes I'm like touching the part of my body. It just really depends.
Got chills when you said that so bad down my whole body.
Yeah.
That's interesting you say that. I don't, just what you said specifically, but.
Yeah. So it really depends on the person. I feel like it's a different situation and feeling with everyone. Because I do feel I have all the clairs. Yeah, so it really just depends on the person, and some people have a stronger connection, and that's when those crazy things will happen. And then some people, I feel like it's probably people who maybe are unsure, like aren't fully trusting you. I feel like their connection usually isn't as strong.
How do you feel like you protect yourself from, you mentioned how you had the coughing. How do you feel like you protect yourself from always having this information come in? Like how do you put up a wall essentially between spirits just using you as a vessel and because there's like psychics that mention that like they'll be in like the line at a grocery store and something just comes through and they feel like they need to tell someone, has your mom passed away and she's saying this for you. I would imagine you don't want that.
Right.
So how do you prevent that?
It definitely takes time when you're a beginner you're still trying to figure out information that's coming at you. So yeah, it kind of just happens. But then as you practice more, you realize that you're the one in control.
Yeah.
So now that does not happen to me too much, because it's simply just telling yourself, like, not today, you know, like, not today. But there have been many moments when things like that have happened to me. Like one time when I was getting my nails done, I was like getting this like really heavy feeling, and the guy just was like not doing a great job, and I had been to him before, but I like felt like I couldn't say anything. And then when I went to the front desk to pay, I asked the girl, I'm like, is he okay today? And she was like, his mom just passed away yesterday. So there are moments when sometimes the feeling is so overwhelming, but that was kind of an intimate moment where he was touching my hands and things like that. So little things like that still happen, but I usually try not to bring it up to the person. I just let the feeling go.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just want to say too, I just want to point out, you have like such a good vibe to you. Like,
thank you.
Your energy is so kind of like calming.
Thank you.
And I can imagine, like, I feel like too, something that I've noticed with great psychics, and maybe I'm wrong, but it's like they have a presence that lets you open up too.
Yes.
So it's twofold. So I think, to me, and obviously I'm not a medium, but to me the best readers that I've been to, they create this environment where you can open up. So what do you think, I know you briefly mentioned this, but what do you think the effect of how comfortable someone is with you that allows it to flow? Like, what degree does that affect things?
Oh, a great deal. Yeah. The more comfortable the person is, the better reading they're going to have. You know, you definitely want to gain their confidence, and make them feel comfortable. Once they get to that point, it's almost like a therapy session, you know, which is my goal, because yes, I want you to receive messages from loved ones, but what's the purpose here? I want you to feel like this reading was meaningful to you, and my job is to help you heal. You know, my job is to help you figure out what it is that you even need to heal from. So gaining someone's confidence allows for that moment to happen.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that, because this morning I had the thought of, like, if you can get to the root of what the issue is, that in itself is like 75% of the battle. If you can just identify where something comes from, of why you feel a certain way, you can move forward so much.
Yes. And I tell people often, it's funny that we're talking about this, because my group reading yesterday, this was kind of the theme that kept coming up. We block our blessings often. You know, when we have things that we haven't healed from, and we don't even know what they are, or we're in a situation where we feel stuck, we're blocking our blessings. So a goal of mine in my readings is to help people get to that point where they identify whatever the issue is, whether they're stuck in a bad relationship or there's something emotional that they're holding on to. My goal is to help you figure that out so that you can move forward. Because I feel like once we learn certain lessons, we are rewarded with a new opportunity.
So it's almost like a loop breaker.
Yes. That's every psychic is different. Of course, I want to, connect with your grandma for you so that you know she's okay. You can ask her any questions. But also in connecting with grandma, she's also giving you these messages because she's seeing things differently now that she's not with us, So
is there a moment in your reading history that you remember that you felt like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how I could deliver this to this person? Like
1000%. So I don't really use cards, but in those moments I would use cards just for the confirmation. I'll be like, okay, 1 second, let's grab some cards for you, shuffle out whatever pops out of the deck. Almost always that card relates to what I'm thinking. So then I'm like, all right, let's just say it. So I usually use the cards kind of as the confirmation for me.
How do you differentiate what your thought is versus what is actual information coming through?
That, it's like, whatever happens, happens.
I love that.
That is definitely tough.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, it's usually not me talking, because if we're in a reading and we're talking about things and it came from a source, that's where the clear knowing comes in that I talked about in my introduction. I have a clear knowing. So when I'm talking to you, even if I'm not feeling or seeing a spirit, and we're not talking about your grandma anymore, it's just like words are just coming out. So I don't, that for me is tough, since I have that clear knowing.
What about channeling for yourself?
That is definitely hard, because I'm biased to myself. So in my head, I want an answer, so it's hard to tell, like, okay, is this what I wanted?
Yeah.
That's definitely, I still get readings for myself for that reason, because it's really impossible. Because even if I pull cards for myself or something, I'm going to want to change the meaning to what I was hoping the answer would be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I'll like pull my astrology cards, or I'll pull oracle cards. I don't really pull tarot anymore. I just don't. And I feel like it's always just a reflection of my own energy.
Yes.
Like it's like when you're constantly looking for a sign, you're gonna find a sign.
For sure, yeah. So I definitely think it's always good to get a reading for yourself.
Yeah.
But I will say, connecting with my past loved ones, I feel like it's a connection like anyone else has. I do feel them, but I can't do a reading for myself and like get messages from them, but I do feel them in my everyday life.
That is so cool. Because I don't know if people do necessarily feel their loved ones. Because like I do feel my loved ones at times, but I don't think everyone does. So I think that's even like an extended part of your gift, as well as like, obviously some people love psychics, some people think they're woo-woo and they're not legitimate. How do you handle the skeptics? How do you feel like you try to portray your messaging to obviously give authenticity?
So if I'm not doing a reading with a skeptic or someone who doesn't believe, it's like, okay, whatever, it's like, I'm not worried about it. But there are people who question you but still want to get a reading just out of interest. I call them testers. They're just testing, like, okay, I've never gotten a reading, but like, let's see like if this is real or not.
I kind of hate that.
It happens all the time, and you kind of know when someone is that person, and no judgment, we still love you. I kind of get it, but you're setting yourself up for failure when you walk into a reading like that, because you're already really blocked off.
Yeah.
And since it's really based off of energy, if your energy's blocked off, how do you expect me to read you?
Yeah, 100%.
It's definitely possible, but it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
And that's when you break out all the tools, like the cards and things like that, to kind of get things started. And oftentimes I find that those people are so focused, like they want this crazy, insane moment.
Yes.
So if they're not getting that, or like they're hoping to hear something specific, if they're not getting that, they're disagreeing with everything you're saying. So a lot of times, like, it sucks for them, which they don't realize, because I feel like a lot of time is wasted in the reading because I'm getting you to trust me.
Yeah.
And then
proving yourself.
Yes, I am proving myself, and also I have to help them understand the information that's coming through, because a lot of times those kinds of people want something specific. Like they want me to say your grandma died on March 15th at 7:15 p.m. They want very specific, and if I'm not saying that, they're like, no. And then when someone says no, you're like, okay, like,
how do you handle that when you're actively giving a reading and you can feel that someone's not like vibing with you, and you know that the information's coming through, but they're being just kind of skeptical, and they're trying not to like it, essentially. Like, how do you deal with that?
Again, that's when I would pull out my tools. Like I would definitely use cards to give myself, like, if they're not giving me the confirmation, I need to give myself a confirmation, so I know I'm not just talking crazy. Yeah. So definitely I would pull out the cards, and then I ask more and more questions. And then usually by like 10 minutes or so, it's like, okay, see, that's what I was talking about in the beginning. And then once they realize, oh, wait, everything she was saying did make sense, then the reading will start to flow. So I just keep pulling and pulling until I get them to a point where they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah, I've dealt with that a little bit with astrology readings of like, you know, it's like very skeptical about astrology, and it's almost like, let's test to see how much you know. And it's like,
yes. And I don't need you to tell me, you know, I ask questions along the way. And in readings that I've gotten for myself, every psychic is going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much being thrown at us, and, you know, I tell everyone this, if we knew everything, we would be the richest people in the world. I wouldn't even be doing this with you right now. You know what I mean? But I don't know everything, so I do ask you questions. No, you should not tell me your life story, but yes, just say yes or no to a question.
Yeah.
Which is where I think those testers, you know, that's kind of where they go wrong, because if they're not giving you a confirmation, it's just kind of, it feels like a dead end sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they don't want to give you any information.
Yes.
And it's like, it's not like a magic crystal ball.
Yes, exactly.
It's just it's the bridge to help you.
Exactly.
It's not a crystal ball. It's not those things where you shake them and it says yes or no, magic 8 ball.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not, a psychic is not a magic 8 ball.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, but the people who are very, very open, those are the people that get those crazy moments. Like the coughing that I talked about earlier, she is so open and so into this, fully believes it. She's one of the people that will receive a crazy, very real, intense reading like that, you know,
because we're all kind of antennas, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it depends where your frequency is at. So it's like, if your frequency is someone who, like, you know, you're just, and I don't even like to frame it this way because like everyone's just at different stages in their journey, but if your frequency is like not super conscious of things outside of the physical world, then your antenna is kind of down a little bit. The signal is not catching the information.
Yeah.
So it's like, because you're essentially interacting with their antennas.
Right.
If their antenna's off.
Right. Exactly.
What am I supposed to say?
Exactly. Yeah. And then if someone wasn't super close with, you know, if they don't have many people who have passed away, and like say they weren't really close with their grandma and like didn't know them and don't feel any sort of connection, you know, you can give them messages, but they're like, yeah, I don't know. And I always just tell me, you know, maybe ask someone in your family who would know.
Yeah.
You know, I just give them the information and I just tell them, you might have to ask your mom and dad about this.
Yeah, for sure. I had a psychic give me, actually in Lilydale, give me information that was like specifically for my mom.
Okay.
And I didn't really resonate with me.
Yeah.
But then when I told my mom, she's like,
yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Glad you got a great reading.
Right. I know, it is weird how that happens. I usually try not to.
It's cool.
Yeah, I try not to do that. That actually did happen yesterday as well. I was like, I don't want to focus on this, but someone wants to come and, you know, talk to your mom about something. So.
Yeah, I think it's cool though, because we're all just supposed to get the messages that we're supposed to get. That's it. So sometimes like we are extensions of our family.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes we just. Yeah, we're that tool for them too.
For sure.
Right? Have you ever had a spirit come through that scared you? I know you said you only channel light energy. Has something ever infiltrated that you were like, get out of here immediately?
So it wasn't like a bad thing trying to scare me, but I did a reading. This was when I first started practicing. I did a reading for someone, and then when I got off the phone with them, in the corner of my eye, I saw like a black and white like shadow almost, just like running around in a circle real fast. It was her dog. And that was the first time I had seen a spirit like that. Because it's like I can see and like imagine in my head what they would look like, but I've never actually seen like the figure, like 3D figure, you know? That scared the shit out of me. I screamed so loud and I was like, and then I text her and I'm like, do you have a dog in spirit, like a small like dog, like a shaggy dog? She's like, yeah. And I was like, did he have like a little like dog house in the backyard? And she's like, yes, he would always like lay in the dog house and things like that. So I wasn't just hallucinating, it was a real spirit. But Yeah, that was extremely scary. I would say that's the only really scary thing, but it wasn't anything negative. It was just someone's dog trying to connect with them.
That's so interesting. So do you feel like, because there's theories that souls can reincarnate as dogs or animals or whatever, like I could come back as a dog or whatever. Do you actually believe that, or can you clearly identify, hey, this is the spirit of an animal, this is the spirit of a person, like, can you differentiate that?
Yes, I usually can differentiate that. Did I say that right?
Differentiate.
I usually can tell the difference, it's pretty specific. Sometimes, like, maybe, like, a grandma is actually someone's mom, because sometimes they can, like, usually, like, a mom and their mom will be standing together. So things like that become unclear sometimes, but yeah, usually I know a dog is a dog and a person is a person. So anyways, I do believe that people reincarnate, but I feel that it's also up to the soul, and I feel like there's still, like, you can still feel their energy and feel their soul, but they can also be living through, like, it's just, there's so many avenues, there's so many possibilities. I believe in all of them. Yeah. So I believe that I can still connect with someone and see them, but I do believe that they could be reincarnating as someone else in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that. I had a past life, like, regression thing done, and it basically came through that my sister was my mom in a past life, which makes so much sense because she's always been, like, almost like a second mom to me.
Oh, okay.
So I feel that 100%. Like, I've basically experienced that.
Yeah, and oftentimes in my readings, like, if someone's having a kid or they already have a kid and they have a loved one, usually that loved one will say, like, okay, I'm living vicariously through them, and I always tell them, pay attention, like, they'll probably have similar personality traits and things like that. So yes, I believe that they're still in the spirit world, but also living through other people.
That is so fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It's insane.
How do you feel like you prepare your energy for a reading, and how important do you think rituals actually are?
Yeah, so I do have my own little ritual that I am afraid to break because I've been doing it for so long and it has worked for me for so many years. So usually the night before, I try to lay low, I won't go out or something like that. I try not to talk to too many people. If there's, like, something that I have to be a part of, like a party or something, I'll go do it. It's not a huge deal, but I try to just relax, eat pretty good. The day of is definitely when I'm probably not talking to you. I'll only talk to certain people, like, that I'm really close with on the day of, but I try not to let too many energies interfere, because I'm also at that point, I'm starting to get, like, anxiety. Yeah. I'm starting to already feel things from the person and their past loved ones. Yeah, and I try not to read the person before I read them, because then that's when you feel like you have nothing to say. So I'm trying to shut all that out and just chill. I always have to do some sort of, like, movement. Like, I have to work out, do yoga. I have to meditate before. And then I have, like, all my little, like, sprays that I use, like different essential oil sprays, because aromatherapy for me, I don't know, like, the smells, like, help me connect for some reason, and I, like, when I'm there, I use incense and different smudgings, like rosemary or Palo Santo.
Remind me what your sign is again?
Capricorn.
And what was your moon, though?
My moon is Taurus. And my rising is Cancer.
There it is.
Yeah. So I use smoke, smell, meditation to help me prep, and then I have a setup that I do for every reading. My crystals I have with me, candles. I just feel like I need all that. I don't know why, I just feel like I need it. But I would say the meditation beforehand is, like, the most important. And then you asked me about, do I believe in rituals? Yeah. Do I believe in rituals in the sense of prepping, like that sort of ritual? Yes. Rituals like witch practices, those kind of rituals, like moon rituals. I think it just depends on the person. Yeah. lived my life doing them, and I've lived my life also doing them, and I've realized that it doesn't make a difference in my connection.
Yeah.
It just depends on if you want to be doing them or not, and if that
Same.
resonates with you.
I used to put so much pressure on myself, especially with the astrology, to like manifest on the new moon, and like I would literally be like, I used to be a server, so I would like get out of work and I would like light all my candles, and I would like write out all my intentions, and I'd be like taking an abundance bath, and I'd be putting like Florida water and cutting up oranges and doing petals in the bath, and like it was so much like pressure, like, oh my gosh, I need to use this energy properly. Like I was putting so much pressure on myself for these rituals, and then if your energy is like that when you're doing it, it's like the opposite of what it's supposed to do. And now I do like just like my normal life, and you know, I meditate, I pray, but I don't have many, like I used to really be into like candle magic and all of that, and honestly it created like more stress around like
it does, because you're feeling like you have to do these things that maybe aren't really even making sense to you.
Exactly.
You know, and you're like, what am I doing this for? I do believe it works for some people.
100%.
For me, it didn't really make a difference, to be honest with you.
The only crazy, I'll tell you, because I feel like especially you're
please.
Like, ooh. But one time, I remember, this is the one experience that I had with a spirit that was crazy, because I'm not a medium, but I would say I'm like intuitive.
Of course,
and,
for sure. I would say you are.
And I was taking a bath to clean my energy, so I would put like, I'd put either holy water or Florida water in just bath water, and I would take a bath, and you know, people have different opinions on holy water, Florida water, whatever. But I was literally just saying, God, please remove any negative energy. God, please remove any negative energy. I feel this energy in my chest. I can't breathe. And I'm like this, and I literally am in the bath, and I can't breathe. And I'm kind of freaking out. And I'm trying to yell, but I can't, because my boyfriend at the time was in the next room, and I had like the bathroom door probably cracked open, and I was like, oh my God, like, and I laid down a little bit, and I felt like this, like I felt like things were closing in, and then I felt this relief and this like euphoric feeling, but all the lights in the apartment went out.
Oh my God.
I just got chills.
That is definitely an experience. So I will say, doing cleansing with water, I do believe in.
Yeah, that's the one thing, like, out of all of, like, my candles and my crystals, and I love them for, like, a good time, but to, like, put too much pressure on me, I don't like that. But water, a cleansing bath?
I definitely do believe in water. I also use a spray, because obviously I don't have a sink with me all the time, but I spray my hands and spray my aura before and after every reading. And in between, like if I'm doing an event and there's lots of people coming in and out, after every single reading, I'm spraying my hands, spraying my aura. So I do believe in that 1000%. Sorry, not to take away from your experience, but I just wanted to validate using water as a ritual. Yes, 1000%. I just feel like you have to cleanse yourself in order to be open. You know, we got to get rid of certain things to be open, which is what sounds like happened to you.
Yeah, it was just a crazy experience, and
there was like something in you that you were releasing.
Yeah, I wanted to tell the psychic about that.
No, that's crazy. I believe in moments like that, for sure. And especially if you're feeling like, holy shit, it was real. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was insane. I still remember it, like, so vivid.
Yeah, you can't forget things like that.
That'll never go away.
Yeah, no. But it's also moments like that, too. It's like you're not going to do that every day, because then you realize it is such a special and sacred moment. You know, you can't chase that.
So, what do you say to the people who, on that note, you know, there's so many people who are just constantly... Do you feel like sometimes people get readings for the wrong reasons?
Yes.
And that's why things don't go as they want it to?
1000%. So it goes back, I think I said this earlier, them wanting to hear something specific. You know, them, but not telling, they're not telling you exactly what that is. And I actually told my friend this the other day too. So everything we're talking about is funny because it's been like coming up in my life.
Yeah.
When someone wants something so bad, it's like they almost just don't get it in a reading. Yeah. So yeah, I do feel like when someone wants that and they're looking for something, they're just not gonna get it. I don't know why that is. I don't know why, because I feel like in a sense that kind of is testing you a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, that happens all the time. I always tell people, like, just, you know, relax, be open, like, no expectations. That's usually when you get the best reading.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, if they end up bringing it up to me, I'm like, oh, sorry, like, yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it blocks the channel. I feel like anytime we grasp something too tight,
Yes,
it makes us
exactly.
stiff.
I don't know what it is, but it really is such a real thing. I don't know, like, they're just stuck on something. And I also feel like when they're stuck on something, they're not hearing anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
They want what they want, so it's like, instead of taking the direction that spirit's guiding you,
Right.
you're trying to take the direction
Right.
that in your mind it's so important when
Yes.
like you could get more important information than
For sure. Well, because people want what they want, they don't want what they need. You know, it goes back to that. You know, readings are usually things that you need to hear. It might not necessarily be what you want to hear. You know, if it's what you wanted to hear, that's kind of gimmicky.
Yeah.
You know, that becomes, you know, where it's performative. But this is, we're trying to help you.
Yeah.
You know, so what you want might not be very good for you.
That's interesting. It's so crazy how in this conversation we're having all these themes come up that you said were repeating for you.
Yes.
And for me as well. Like, you know, last night with my boyfriend we were having a conversation, a few glasses of wine in,
Mm-hmm.
but we were having a conversation about how the things we both thought we wanted when we were younger, if they would have ended up coming into fruition, how terrible it would have been.
Oh my God, yeah.
Or even like things that we've wanted to hear. So like with you saying that, it's such the things we think we want or the things we think we want to hear, it's like as you evolve, when you actually start getting the things you need and hearing the things you need,
yeah,
you don't even really want them.
a lot of people chase a fantasy, which is what we want, right? But it's a fantasy for a reason, you know? When you really think about the outcomes of what you want, it's not so good. But people don't think that, you know?
Yeah.
Even in relationships, you know, with people that I talk to who maybe aren't in the best relationship, but they're trying to make it work, you're stuck on a fantasy, you know?
Yeah.
So I do tell people that a lot as well.
Do you have a lot of tea come through about relationships?
Yes, I do. I do. I kind of love like doing readings about relationships. I don't know.
I love that.
Yeah, you know, I just like helping people figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think relationships are a big part in people's lives and can make or break their life, you know?
Yeah,
like
100%.
if you're in a bad relationship, like you're gonna be stuck, you know, like not anything bad will happen to you, but it just blocks so many things for you. You know, we're so stuck on this person and you're not even realizing that there's so many other things out there. All you gotta do is just let this person go, you know?
Yeah. It's like the people always say the butterfly effect of like,
Yes.
you'll meet that one person, but if your energy is closed off, then you're not going to meet them. Then you're not going to meet who they know, and you're not going to get connected with the right person to
For sure.
get you closer to your dreams, or whatever the case is.
For sure.
But what is like the kind of craziest thing, if you can say,
Yeah.
that's ever come through in a relationship? Like, was there ever, not to be low vibrational, but was there ever anything so insane that you were like, oh my god?
Yeah, a few times. I feel like it almost always involves cheating.
Yeah.
You know?
Of course.
But like some of the stories with the cheating, you're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, like what?
The plot of it all.
You know? Yeah, I mean, so the thing about my readings is I don't remember a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like specific like moments, like a moment I had with someone that maybe was like really intense or something, but I don't remember a lot of what is said, but I feel like I've had like really weird moments often about relationships. Yeah, for sure.
That's interesting.
When I first started, I got like almost all of my readings like involved relationships, like something going on in someone's relationship. Now I get like a variety of things like health, relationship, career. But I don't know, when I first started practicing, it was like people with relationship issues were like very attracted to me.
Do you feel like sometimes the themes of your life attract similar themes in your readings? Like things that you might be going through and
Yes.
those type of people are attracted to you?
Yes, because I do think, not because it was happening to me, I mean, yes, because it was happening to me, but I think because that was an important theme for me. So yeah, I was attracting that energy to help people, you know, with their relationships, because probably I wasn't in the best situation. Yeah. Now I'm chilling, so I get a variety of everything because I'm just down to help with whatever. But yeah, looking back, I think I was probably thinking a lot about relationships for myself, and it became an important topic for me.
Yeah, that's interesting how we attract based on that.
Yeah, you said it.
So have you ever given a reading? You know how in movies, like, there's the psychic that's like, you're gonna get pregnant and you're gonna be married and you're gonna have this beautiful dream career. Like, have you ever had really all of that type of information come through where you're like, you're destined for this sensational future? Have you ever had a reading like that?
Not like movie star level,
Okay.
but yes, like, great things will happen for you in all areas of life. I feel like one of the girls I read yesterday had that, like, just everything she wanted. And yeah, I mean, I've read people before. There was one girl I did a reading for, and I was like, I feel like you're gonna meet like an NBA player, and like that's gonna be your husband. I don't know yet. It wasn't too long ago,
okay.
So I don't think yet that would happen. I feel like maybe in the next couple of years, but yeah, it is exciting. It's always a positive time, always a positive reading, and I love when readings are positive like that. But yeah, never like movie star level where I'm like, you're gonna be a famous actress. But definitely, yeah, readings where everything was great.
A star.
Yeah.
What role do guides or angels, would you say, in your readings? Because I know there's just like spirit. So is spirit guides and angels? Is spirit just like one big mass entity? How do you differentiate between spirit and a person coming through, like an actual, you know, deceased loved one? How do you do that?
So guides, I don't necessarily get guides. Sometimes I get animal messengers where I'm like, okay, I'm feeling like a dog, but the person doesn't have a dog, but I'm like, yeah, I feel like the partner you're with is like very loyal, like a dog. Like, so but I feel like that's more of like a symbolism.
Yeah.
So as for guides, I feel like I don't really do the whole guide thing. But I feel like guides are also spirit, right? Some people have like a specific guide and they know who their guide is.
Yeah.
That's never been in my practice. I don't, you know, if it works for you, you know, great. If not, don't do it. But spirit definitely for me is just like, I don't even know, something just huge. I don't know, like not a specific person. I just feel like it's like an energy, you know, just working with an energy. And yes, in a reading, I do receive messages from loved ones, but when I feel like the loved one isn't talking and it's just spirit with messages, I'm like, okay, spirit is saying, but it's hard to say. That's just, I just go with what I intuitively think.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. It's hard because I feel like there's not like a set in stone answer because I'm sure it's different for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I've always thought though, I agree with and I'm sure it's a little bit different from you based on how you channel. But I've always felt like spirit was just, it's not a being, it's more just it's an entire, it's the energy that you tap into and you feel around you.
Yeah.
And your antenna,
That's okay.
Your antenna is just attuned to get that information.
Yeah, and I feel like also it's just a matter of telling yourself, like, yeah, I'm psychic. Exactly. You know, like people don't realize how much control we have over our minds.
Yeah. My last question.
Okay.
What do you have in your psychic bag?
Yeah, so I carry the psychic bag with me everywhere.
I love it. It's like
to every event.
The movie on Disney Channel,
Yes, it is. Wait, is it
Halloween Town?
Yes.
Where she has that bag and it like pulls out all of these things.
I am the grandma from Halloween Town. Literally. No, literally. I carry this bag with me for any event that I'm doing. First of all, the most important thing is my emotional support water bottle.
I love it. She's cute. She's decorated.
Yep, I keep this little like bag of everything. So I have some rose water spray.
Very high vibrational.
Yes, exactly. Rose, okay, so rose has the highest vibrational frequency of all the plants, and it's a frequency of love.
Oh, I love
that. I also have rose essential oil that I'll like put on my hands and like rub it together. And sometimes I have the people that I'm reading do it as well if I feel like, okay, like they need a little boost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I spray this like in my aura.
I can always smell the rose.
Yes, here, girl.
I love it. Come through. Thank you.
Rub it together.
So
I also bring this little like scarf that I usually set up on the table. This was my grandma's, and I don't know why, I just have like an emotional connection to it, and it's again like emotional support kind of. So now I just feel like I need it. It's like a blanket. It's like a blankie.
Yeah.
But for my readings, like I don't carry it around with me like in my everyday life. It's only when I do readings.
Pull it out of your purse at any given time.
Yeah, like I need you. And also I never knew my grandma, but I'm very connected to her. Like I feel like if I have a guide, it's my grandma. Some people, their guides are not their family, but for me, I feel like my grandma's my guide. If I were to have one.
I love that because I feel that way about my dad too.
Yeah, so I don't know. This isn't actually, this looks insane. This is thieves spray, but it's not actually thieves. It's like Florida water, rose water, just like a concoction of things that I made. And I also use this on my aura, and I'll spray my hands with it and spray my aura.
That's a vibe.
Yeah, we got a little bag of crystals that I will set up on the table.
Cute.
What else do I have? A broom.
Just in case.
You never know. You never know. And then I just have like random herbs in here. I have some more sprays. I just use sprays for everything.
What about your tea?
My tea, yes, I do keep I got my tea on deck. So actually another ritual of mine is that I drink my goddess tea before every reading.
Ooh.
I'll either do the goddess or the sweet dreams, because I just feel like the sweet dreams is relaxing, but the goddess for me has rose in it. And rose, like I need to be, like I use rose for readings. Like I need to be using rose. So like I'm spraying it on myself, I'm putting it on my hands, I'm literally ingesting it. You know, so like a bitch is levitating. Okay, a bitch is fucking levitating.
I love it.
Yeah, so I keep that tea on deck, and then I have like 3 different cards. Chapstick. Business
I love it. Everything you need.
Everything. What else do you need? I probably have like a tampon in here. I don't know. Yeah.
Girls.
Yeah, you know, that lady. But anyways, what's her name? Agnes? Just call me Agnes now.
Okay, last thing.
Okay.
If someone wants to train their intuition, what's your piece of advice as someone who's evolved on their spiritual journey, is able to channel messages? What would you say to the person who's just starting out, wants to start their spiritual journey, start getting in tune?
Practice. Just practice. Practice on your friends. Ask them about their friends that you don't know. Just find strangers. Message people on Instagram. Well, don't message them because that's very like scammer-ish.
Yeah,
but
you
post
got a message from your loved one. You have $100.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe just post on your story like, hey, first 5 people to respond get a free reading, and just tell them that you're starting out.
That's what I did.
I would say just literally practice, gain confidence. That's the most important. Like, most important part of this is being confident, you know, and that's through practice.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Marissa, for joining me. I had a wonderful time.
Me too.
And all of our information will be linked below, so you can book a reading with her or get yourself some teas, you know.
Yes.
Full spectrum healing.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. It was such an honor, and this was amazing. So,
thank you.
Yes.